Those who don't know, my name is Serriah. I am the creator of the Curl Definition Natural Hair Training System. And I've done natural hair. I've been in the natural hair industry for almost 2.5 decades. So that's a lot of time. That's a lot of heads of hair. That's a lot of textures that I've taken care of. But it's my passion and it's my love. So what we're doing today, we're going to go over some Q- Q&A, some of the very frequent questions that were asked. All right, let's go over some Q&A. Now, first question I want to address is a common question, which is, can curl definition revert my heat damage? So I've heard this many times, whether in person at hair shows or at some class or event that I was at, in our emails. So this is a common question. So those who follow me, you know that my theory on hair in regards to heat is, if the same heat is heat, whether it's thermal or chemical, heat is heat. Heat, when it's applied to hair, can cause permanent change in the curl pattern and the texture of the hair, whether it's thermal or chemical, right? And when you create that change in the hair, it's a permanent change. But when we're dealing with heat, it's always dependent upon your hair's heat threshold. So what does that mean? Your threshold is the capacity in which your hair can take or receive without changing permanently. So depending on your hair's heat threshold is whether the change that you've received in your hair from heat will alter it. Now, some people's heat threshold is different than others. Like I always say, your sister can be sitting right next to you and have a totally different threshold than you. So she can get that hair pressed out, wash it again. Once the water hits it, it'll revert right back to the curl pattern because she has a different heat threshold. You can go get your hair braided, and all they're doing is just stretching out, drying your hair with a hand blow dryer. If your heat threshold can't handle that, you could experience permanent damage. So you have to determine whether your hair is reverting back with water. And if it's not, then you may have received permanent damage that has to be grown out, the same way that your hair has to be grown out when you get a relaxer. Relaxers don't wear off. You have to grow and get new growth, and that new growth has to grow out. The same way with heat damage. Now, here's the thing, depending on the level of change in your hair, you may have um, enough change to where you can retrain a curl pattern. So that's where the curl definition products come in. If you haven't experienced a vast amount of heat damage and you still have a pattern, not just texture, because curl pattern is texture, but it doesn't mean all texture has a pattern. So if you still have a bit of a pattern, you can use curl definition to train those strands that have been altered a little bit to blend in with the strands that have not been altered. Does that make sense to everyone? Am I explaining it in a way that, you all can catch on to it? So we can't say that curl definition reverts heat damage, but depending on the alteration, the amount of that your hair was altered, you may be able to retrain some curl patterns in. And with that, you may have to get a protein treatment, like visit your stylist and sit with them, find what kind of treatments you may need to fortify your hair, to restore some of your hair bonds, and you may use curl definition to keep your hair in its natural shape long enough to retrain that curl pattern. Okay, does that make sense, you guys? If it makes sense, give me a thumbs up so I know I'm talking some truth here. So I know that it's resonating with you. Question 2. What products do I start with? That's a great question. When people go onto our website and they see the selection of products they have, thank you, Miss Blue. Thank you, Hills. Y'all talking back to me. Thank you. Y'all let me know I'm doing something right. So when you're going on our website and you're trying to figure which product works for you, you'll see that our systems are divided into products for kinky, coily, and tightly curly, and products for curly and loosely curly. And like I said in our last live, that's because our premise is when it comes to defining curls, that no one product can effectively define everyone on the range of curl patterns. We may be able, one product may be able to moisturize all of them. One product may be able to fortify, things like that. Treatments, may work on all curl patterns, but not necessarily defining curls. And when you use products that, not when you say a product works for all curl patterns, what tends to happen is those with kinky, tightly curly, and coily hair kind of are left a little frizzy. So that's why we've separated our systems so that there's the curly and then there's the kinky, coily, tightly curly. All right. So when you go on our website, what I suggest you do is scroll all the way down to the bottom, and towards the bottom or the mid bottom, you'll find a hair analysis. And so what that does, it asks you questions about the characteristics of your hair. And you answer those questions, and what it will do is direct you to the products that were made for the characteristics of your hair. And so that's what I suggest you do if your question is, which products do I start with? And again, that it's effective. The hair analysis is effective because not everyone has the same hair goals. If your hair goal is to get the ultimate curl definition, it will lead you to the products for curl definition. If your goal is for growth and length retention, it will lead you to those products. And if your goal is just moisture, just building that moisture level, it'll lead you to which products work for what your hair goal is. So this is what I'm going to ask for you. You all, if you would, go do your hair analysis. And if once you've completed it and we've left your questions, your suggestions, if there's any information that you feel that you're still wanting in regards to which products would work for you, then go ahead and email us at info@curldefinition.com and let us know. Put in the subject bar hair analysis and put in the text of the email what questions you're left unanswered, so we can kind of alter that analysis to fit your needs best. Okay, so that's what will be most helpful in helping us suit your needs. All right, so that's question 2. Give me a thumbs up if that's helping, if that's giving you the information that you would need. Because of all of this, my goal when creating these products is to ensure that what you're needing is met. You understand what I'm saying? So if you can add that information, that helps us out. All right. Question number 3. How young can you use the product on children? So thank you, ladies. So here's the thing. I don't agree in using heavy products on infants. So if you have an infant, that's someone that's a baby under like 1 years old, I really think like moisturizers. And like I think those are what's best. So that the hair is just really being fed instead of introducing a lot of different things that's focused on styling. I'd rather you just nurture your baby's hair. But once your baby's hair has reverted from the corn silk, baby texture, which is normally about 1 years old, and moved into the kinky, tightly curly, coily texture, that's when it's about time that you can use our products on your baby's hair. Okay. So, when they're babies, you can lean more to like I never, when I was raising my babies, I never put anything like gel or heavy butters or anything like that because they don't need that. And that shouldn't be the focus when your babies are little. Your babies the focus for your baby's hair care at that point is to ensure that they have protection for their hair and their hair is moisturized enough that it's not being worn out on these sides and on the back, and that it's just growing, thriving, and flourishing and finding its curl pattern. Okay, that's question number 3. This is our last question because I didn't intend on holding y'all for long. We get the question about detangling versus defining tools. So we've curated a whole selection of tools that you can use for your hair. And the main purpose of those tools are either to detangle, define, or both. And so so I'm going to show you. This is my home um, collection that I still use. Some of this stuff is a few years old. So, but this is my home collection. And this is what I mainly use for detangling, right? So this is our mini tangle teaser. This is our shampoo, detangling, and defining brush. This is our 8-row detangler. And let me give props to Felicia Leatherwood because she inspired all these brushes that you see. They basically are um, next level of what she began. So they're not the same brush. They just advanced changes on what she began. So give props to the pioneers. And this is our Curl Comfort defining brush. Now, this is a defining brush, but I still use it as detangling. So this is how I want you to detangle your hair. When you're in the shower, you've shampooed your hair and you've applied your conditioner and you've worked it through with your fingers and you did some basic detangling with your fingers. That's when you incorporate these tools. Once the product is in and you've done some basic detangling and you begin from the end and you're doing the whole section by section. Okay, Miss Jewel. So you're doing section by section. So we're not taking the brush and we're just going through our whole head. We're not doing that. We're taking a section and we're defining the ends and working up to the root. Sometimes you might have to gather from the root to a certain mid shaft point and then break that down from end to root, right? Same thing with this brush. And this one you love, right? You'll love this one because there's something about holding it and just working through it that makes it so easy. And you see, it has such give. It has a great amount of give and flexible rows and teeth. So it works with your hair rather than yanking it. rather than giving you a whole lot of friction. So these are the detangling brushes, but here's the thing. Depending on your hair texture, the looser curl patterns can actually define with these products too, right? So as you're detangling, you can also ribbon that hair and define with these tools as well. That's the looser hair textures. As you get tighter in your curl pattern, you need a smaller space of teeth to define your curls. Not saying you need a rat tail comb. That will do nothing but cause frizz. But you want something when you're defining, the purpose of it is to gather and smooth. So this is the ultimate for defining kinky, coily, and tightly curly hair. It just facilitates the process. It made once I was in the salon and I used to just use my fingers to rake through. And I started using this. It reduced the amount of time of defining my customers' curls over half. And once you apply step one, you can use this to evenly distribute the product through. But then after you apply step two, you take this and you're basically smoothing and allowing this brush to define, and it separates those coils, and it just makes it easy, right? So while your hair is wet, you take that section and you allow those coils to pop back, and you'll see them define. So we use this for defining. Those who have longer hair, you can use this one to define. And again, this is my personal collection of tools. So they're not brand new. It's a little bent and stuff. This one, probably about 4 years old. So, and I use this, and what you do, you take the point, you separate the subsection, and you allow it to be defined. You take the point, you add the next subsection, and you allow it to be defined. You get what I'm saying? So that's these two defining combs, right? And again, if you have a lot more hair and you have a looser curl pattern, you can do the same thing. Purple 3285 asked, where can you purchase? So we're solely online as of now, at www.curldefinition.com. That's where we retail. We retail online. We'll actually be at Bronner Brothers this year again, where a lot of y'all tell me you've met me, and we enjoy talking and demonstrating and showing what the product does to your hair. And it's so funny. All we do is say, who here wants to see how your hair responds to the product? And people come with their natural texture out. Some people just peel back the wig so that we can show what the product does with their hair. And many people are amazed. Those people who thought they did not have a curl pattern because a lot of the products didn't work for their hair, they're amazed to see how their curls can define. But that's because, yes, Miss Jewel Bear, that's because these products were made for the specific curl type, the specific curl shape, the specific curl pattern. However, it resonates with you. We don't necessarily use 4 type, 3 type, even though I don't despise it because it gives a point of reference. What we really refer to is the shape. And so, is it kinky? Is it coily? Is it tightly curly? Is it curly and loosely curly? That's the scale for us. And so that's it. Now, the other tools that we have the edge brush. And so the reason why I love this edge brush is because, like, if you want to use step one to define your edges, What you can do is use this paddle right here to dip into the. I just started using a product and I love it. Thanks for the live. Absolutely, Miss Hills. You take this into the step one and use it as a spatula. What I do, I put it right here on the back of my hand. Then I can use the brush. I wet the brush a bit, tap it in the product, and that allows me to smooth. Now, I'm not a big baby hair person. Um, 4C is kinky, correct? Yeah, yeah, you can consider that. Um, I'm not big on baby hairs because I did that like 15, 16 years old. But I do use it for smoothing back. Okay. And what you do, you use it, then tie it down. About 15 minutes, you should be good. And so this has the smaller teeth, the wider teeth, the boar bristle brush, and then you have the paddle. So that's why I love this and I chose this. Like I said, I curated tools that I feel work best and that have helped me succeed in the salon. And then we also have our oversized pick. This is almost as wide as my head. And why we love that, you can go right down to the mid shaft to root, pull that up without losing your definition. And that's how we do that. So that's what this is for. All of these tools are on our website for you to use, find what works for you, and that's it. That's really what we have. Now, we have created a promo code for you to be able to receive. I want to make sure I'm saying it right. And it's in the comment for this as well as on the previous post. I don't know why this is moving so slow. Sorry that we're moving so slow. The Wi-Fi here is just lagging a little bit. So here's the promo code. Okay, now I have to get that. Just take all my money, girl. But it's a good investment because those of you who use the product, I know this, you can agree with this. You're able to live in your texture. Take off the bonnet. Actually, I have the bonnet right here. This is our bonnet. Again, this is my bonnet. It's it's been this this is a tried and true. It's reversible and it has the drawstring to adjust so it can be snug without being too tight. Because you don't want anything tight here, especially if it's not satin. So this is a satin bonnet. I probably had this for about 4 years. This one for about 4 years. So this is what it looks after being abused, battered, and torn. Um, and I mean, it works great. It's held up. It's held up. Reversible satin drawstring to be snug without causing friction. And so those of you who have used curl definition to be able to just peel off your bonnet, use your mist or your hydrating bottle, shake your hair and go, it's a lifesaver. It's a lifesaver. It becomes a way of life. And I've traveled all around the world and, going swimming and all of the things that I do without an issue. You know what I'm saying? I've been in the waterfalls and people were like, oh my gosh, your curls. And it's because these curls are trained by curl definition. You know what I'm saying? All right. Any last questions that I can answer before we convene? Let's scroll up to see. All right. So if there's no more questions, go ahead and use the promo code. The promo code, I'm sorry, I don't know if I said it, is you save 20% off a minimum purchase of $20 with promo code capital BHM2022. So that's for Black History Month. We are still celebrating Black History Month. The promo is to uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Let's see. Are we still on? Are you guys still there? Are you still there? Are you still there? I hope you're still there. But again, the promo code is capital BHM 2022. And it's good through February 12th. All righty. Let me type that in. Promo code BHM 2022. All right. Any more questions? Are we good? Good, good, good. All right. So enjoy the rest of your week. Be absolutely productive. And I will too do what we got to do. And until I see you guys next time. Okay.